Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two dads going through the journey of fatherhood while you all get to listen to us as we do it week in and week out. Brandon, how are you doing, my friend? I just got done telling you I'm pretty tired, but you look a little tired too.
I was about to give you props because you did just get down before we started recording telling me you were feeling tired, and then you pumped yourself up, you stepped up to the mic, and you said, put down your baby and pick up a beer with so much enthusiasm.
It's showtime.
When the lights turn on bright, Jerry is ready to go. But, I mean, I'm pushing through it. I'm good. I'm off of an energy drink a few hours ago, so
okay.
I'm good to go. But we're going to talk about why I needed that energy drink a few hours ago.
Yeah, we're going to talk. I think we both have had trying weeks here, but before we get into our weeks, the podcast is called Dad Jokes for a reason. And do you want to go first or second today with a dad joke, Brandon?
I go first again. I've been enjoying it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this week. I feel good about my joke.
Okay.
Unless you said this one before.
Oh no.
I feel like this is episode 86, and lately we've been doing 2 per episode. So I mean that's what is my quick math? That's 172 minimum dad jokes, not including double ups or guests. So we probably are close to 200 dad jokes said.
I bet you were over that. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. So if we do repeat a dad joke here or there, hey, it is what it is. But Jerry, what do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
Ordained?
Father-in-law.
Oh, okay. Father-in-law. I like it.
That's not the reaction I wanted. You grew up Catholic. I got one specifically for you, and you just kind of poo-pooed it. You need to go to sleep.
It was all right. I'm a little tired. I told you. I'm a little tired. No, it's decent. It was all right. Mine this week is mine was a last second, like an audible. I had one picked out, and then right before we got on, I saw a different one that made me laugh, and it's probably not even that good, but I was like, I'm going with this one. So we'll see at the end of the show.
Both of them.
I don't even know. I got to find the other one, but maybe we will. Maybe we will. But Brandon, what's been going on with you? What's been going on in the Banks household?
Well, you and I are going to have some similarities this week because we had some similar experiences. But Bryce had his first session of Kickstart Soccer, which is interesting. It was fun, and they really make it more about just kind of structured activities with the kids and less about soccer. You do have some where they kick into the goal towards the end of some things that they're doing, but he generally had a good time. He was semi listening, a bit distracted, but it was fun that go around to kind of see how he interacted, and it was fun just seeing him running around. The other thing that we've done, so he has a session of soccer going on, and then he's in actually 2 sessions in a row of swimming lessons. So the way the sessions work, where we're taking them, is they're twice a week for 2 weeks. So he's going twice a week for 4 weeks, and so that's been a Tuesday and Thursday thing. So he just wrapped up his second session today, and it was it's fun. First go around, I was doing a little work from had a surprise call off, but I committed to doing that with the family. So I had my iPad and my work phone with me and was doing a little work from the swimming pool. But next week I'm gonna get in the pool with him. Mom, myself, and Bryce are gonna hop in there. It should be fun. But I mean, you saw him the first time he hopped in a pool a couple weeks ago. We mentioned it. And he had a little trepidation. He was cool when you let him go, but he really didn't like being held in the pool. He's all in now. He can't wait to the end of class, or they spend like the last 5 to 10 minutes like jumping off the edge into the parents' arms. He's trying to do that now from the beginning of class. But he's doing a good job. Like they kind of go around in a circle. You're spinning them from back to stomach. You're putting them like on their stomach and going around the pool, and the instructor may splash them or with water, stuff like that, just to get him acclimated. And he's having the time of his life. He's doing a good job listening to his mom, good job listening to the instructor. So overall, like between these two experiences, I felt kind of like a sense of pride in like how he's handling it. Just a couple new things. He's been super sweet, like while he's awake. I know kind of what you're about to get into, so you probably are looking at me like you don't really have to go over some of this stuff. But he is at like a sweet stage while he's awake, and even the times when he's annoying, you normally can kind of understand why. In his one small annoyance is his use of the word no and nope right now. If he don't want something or don't want to do it, you definitely gonna know. And the last thing, this is more on a kind of a somber note, but he is not sleeping well right now. So I said all that good stuff, very happy. But as soon as it gets to be about 8:30, 9 o'clock, we've been trying to put him to bed a little bit later because he wasn't sleeping well. You can set your clock that between 1:30 and 2:30 for like the last week, he's going to wake up and he's not going to go back to sleep for a couple hours. So that means mom and dad both. There are a couple of nights where we each took like hour shifts unintentionally. Like you be up an hour with him, he kind of falls asleep in your arms, you put him down, and he's wailing. So the other one goes in, and a couple of nights ago we brought him into bed, and he was just punching us both in the face for the rest of the night. So I definitely got some sleep to catch up on. I was up with him for a couple hours yesterday. But that's going to be a work in progress. But at some point, he better start going to sleep again because all this sweet stuff is going on. I'm not going to feel warm and fuzzy about him. But that's pretty much how our week's been, Jerry. I know a little bit about your week, but what you guys been up to with two babies in the house.
Well, Brandon, when we started this podcast, you and I both weren't dads yet. And we started it kind of...
That's true.
Yeah, when we started talking about like advice that we had gotten from other people, things we had learned, and we got lots of advice and lots of people telling us about being a dad. And some of it was good, some of it was bad, some of it was okay, right? But one piece of advice and something that we heard, I think both of us a lot, that I think is very, very true, and any dad out there can relate to this, but being a dad is both the best job you'll ever have and the hardest job you'll ever have. And
I'm glad you said hardest, not worst.
No, yeah, it's the best and the hardest. It's not the worst ever, but it is sometimes hard. And some weeks are better and some weeks are just tough. And I might be coming off maybe the toughest week I've had as a dad. It's been a tough week. And the funny part is there's been a lot of good things too, but it's been a trying week, and most of it, about 95% of it, isn't the baby.
It's the newborn.
It's not the baby. It is the old one. Peyton is kind of in a weird stage right now, and she just will have these meltdowns, tantrums, whatever you want to call them, every day, multiple times a day, where she'll just lose her mind for like anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. And sometimes you know why, sometimes you don't. And most of the time you cannot get her to stop. Whether you try to distract her, feed her, comfort her, ignore her. I mean, she's just on one. I guess it's the way I'll say it, Brandon. And when she's not throwing a tantrum, she's great. She's super sweet. She's super funny. She's having the time of her life. And then at the drop of a hat, she will flip. And it's been interesting. So we went to the zoo last weekend, and we want to take Avery for the first time. And so we went to the zoo. It was, all of us, we got there. Peyton was doing okay. She was kind of cranky, but not bad. We go see the penguins. That's kind of fun. That's right at the beginning, right? We get her out of the wagon, take her to see the penguins. I go to put her back in the wagon, and she starts freaking out. I'm like, oh, this is not good. So I'm like, okay, let me get some goldfish
That's literally
out.
the first exhibit.
That's the first thing. And I'm like, I'm not carrying her over this whole, because she's heavy now. She's like almost 30 pounds. So I'm like, let's get her some goldfish. I gave her some goldfish. She calms down, and she starts being good. We get a little bit further, see a couple things, get to where they have the reptiles, which isn't much farther. And she liked this place last time when we went with you guys. We get out. She does good in the building. I go to put her back in the wagon outside. Not having it. This time she don't care about goldfish. She don't care about nothing. She's losing her mind. So I start carrying her. I'm carrying her. We're going place. I'm carrying her. Finally, I'm carrying her for a long time. And I'm like, I'm not carrying you everywhere because the farther I carry you, the farther I'm going to have to carry you back if you don't calm down eventually, right? So I put her in her stroller and I'm thinking, okay, she was losing her mind trying to jump out of this wagon. Didn't want to walk. We tried to let her walk.
Jump out of it?
Oh, yeah. Jump out of it. Didn't want to walk. Was screeching out of the top of her lungs. Didn't want any food. Didn't want. It got so bad that at one point, and we hadn't done this since we took it away from her, Macy's like, I'm giving her a binky. Took the binky, chucked it. Didn't even like pretend to try to put it in her mouth. That's how mad she was.
She said that binky.
Correct. She did. Was losing her mind to the point where it was embarrassing, right? The poor baby's doing great. So finally, I'm like, I put Bluey on my phone. I'm like, maybe, and it kind of calmed her down a little bit. While this is happening, I'm trying to calm her down. Poor Avery's in a sling, like a baby carrier, right? Like the wraps. Well, apparently she peed through her clothes, her diaper, and the wraps.
Oh, no.
So we're trying to like get her situated. I'm trying to calm Peyton down, who's losing her effing mind.
This is like an episode from TV.
And we're like in the middle of the zoo. People are passing us. And the annoying part is, Brandon, I'm looking around at all these kids, and I just want one kid to be losing their mind besides mine. Like, that sounds bad, but that's what I wanted more than anything in the world. I'm like, if someone else is losing their mind, I'd be like, okay, that guy gets me. None of these kids are losing their mind. Finally, we pass one kid. He starts crying, and this kid had the softest, most delicate cry I've ever heard in my life. It made me so mad. I was pissed, Brandon. This kid starts crying. He's like, ah. I'm like, what? That's what you got? My kid's screeching to the point I can't think straight, and this kid's got this soft little cry, and the dad's like, no. No, it was terrible. So
you're critiquing kids' cries.
Oh, yeah, I was terrible. I was mad at this kid. I did not like this kid because his cry was so, like, delicate. And he's the same age as Peyton or older. I was like, this is weak. So, anyways, we bail because it's not, like, this is, like, a half an hour of, like, just nonsense, right? To the point where no one's having fun anymore. So we leave. Luckily, we get a stuffed animal for Avery because we got Peyton one her first time. Macy really wanted to do it. And we go home, and it's just so that's like that day's crazy. We get home, Peyton's still losing her mind. It's like a whole thing. So I'm just like, that day's wearing on me. The next day is soccer, and in my back of my head, I'm like, great, because Peyton was bad at the zoo, but she had a few days where she's been crazy, right? It's not like this was the first day where I'm like, what's happening? So we go to soccer, and at first she's doing pretty good, right? She's playing. Bryce is there. She's hanging out with Bryce. She's hanging out with other kids. She's fine stuff. Then the class like starts, and she's not doing bad. She doesn't want to do what the class is doing, which is typical Peyton. She doesn't ever want to do what you tell her to do. So whatever. But she's entertained. Everything's going okay. I'm not gonna push it too much, right? She's younger than some of the other kids, and she's independent. I'm fine with it. Then we get to this one section where they got to do like an obstacle course thing, right? And she becomes obsessed with some buckets. Why? I don't know. They weren't even cool. And so I'm trying to.
I was oblivious to this all. We were in the same building, but I did not even. I didn't know you guys had. Well, you're gonna get to it.
She became obsessed with the buckets, and I'm like, well, but she like wanted to just stay on the bucket. She thought it was cool. Like she wanted to like sit on it, stand on it. Yeah, other kids, right? I'm like, you can't be doing this. And so I pulled her away from the buckets, and she lost her mind.
Nope,
and so we tried to like there's tons of other toys there, tons of other things going on, trying to distract her. Nope, nothing. She's going crazy for 5-10 minutes. Finally, I take her outside. I'm like, maybe a change of scenery will help. I try to get in her food. I try sitting in the car. Nope, screaming to the point where Macy got the stuff and we left. I mean, we didn't. I mean, by the time we left, it was like when everyone else was getting out. But I had her outside for 10, 15 minutes before that, and the class was only 45 minutes long. She's terrible. We get home, she's still being terrible. My in-laws are there because they were watching the baby, and I think my mother-in-law is like, I'm the whole time I'm thinking, it's like, she's not watching the kids when Macy goes back to work because she sees how crazy my daughter is. So this is great. That's all I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, this is great. I mean, it's just, and that's how she was. So it seems to be worse when we leave the house. But then, the rest of the week's gone on, and every day something happens where she seems to lose her mind or have these moments. Tonight, she was freaking out upstairs, going crazy. I don't know what it is, Brandon. And people are like, oh, it's a stage. Maybe. I've been looking up crazy stuff about tantrums, like, like does she have like ADD or something? I hope she doesn't. I do. So I don't know if that's genetic. I don't know. I hope she doesn't or whatever it is, but hopefully it's just a bad stage. But she's been on one lately. The good news is that her little sister has been, for the most part, really freaking good. She slept through the entire night already once, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Don't get me wrong. Like the other night, she was up 2 or 3 times for an hour. Like she still has bad nights. It's not like she's perfect, but compared to what Peyton was and right now, she's pretty good. Most nights she sleeps well. She tends to still be pretty cranky and angry when she's awake if you're not holding her, which is kind of difficult, but she sleeps a decent amount. You can put her down, which is good. She's doing good with tummy time. I mean, I honestly can't have very many complaints at all with Avery. She's been pretty dang good. And she had her 1 month appointment. She's 1 month now, which is crazy, mind blowing. And so that was kind of fun to take her to her 1 month appointment, which, by the way, Brandon, I didn't know. I thought for sure at 1 month you got shots, but you don't. So that was a nice surprise. So she didn't get shots, but she did get her measurements, and she's 10 pounds 6 ounces now, which is pretty big. I think I'm trying to look it up right now. Actually,
you
as we're
should
talking,
look like a side by side of her and Peyton at some point.
Oh, I did. It's crazy. Like their percentiles and stuff. It's actually really kind of funny. But yeah, so Avery's like 90th percentile for weight, and like 88th for like height, and her head circumference is like in the middle somewhere. But she was doing good, so she's growing good. She was, like I said, 10 pounds 6 ounces, which is just crazy. She did really good at her doctor's appointment. Didn't cry the entire time, even when the doctor was messing with her and stuff, which normally, like I said, she's kind of fussy when she's awake. And she did great. She was fantastic at her doctor's appointment. So that was good. Then another big thing that happened this week, Brandon, actually today, is Peyton went to her first dentist appointment. So she went to the dentist today, which I think she didn't really like. Shocker. So Macy had to help, but it sounds like her teeth are going good. She has 16 teeth. They're looking good. The one thing that did happen is the dentist said, "Yeah, you guys need to take that binky away completely." Which again, a couple months ago we took it away to just at night, but he's like, "It's not bad yet, but you want to take it away." So tonight was the first night we took it away, and she's definitely was looking for it. And when I came down here to record, she was still and not happy in her bed. So we'll see how that goes tonight. But she's already mad at the world. Why not add one more thing to it? But
so
she's
were you guys able to, because I've heard things about certain dentists where
mm-hmm.
the parent can't actually go back.
Oh, she was in there because Macy said she was like holding her mouth open or something.
Okay. Yeah, it was crazy to me to even consider that, because that's a non-negotiable. What made you guys go? Or start that process now?
A lot of things we had read said that once, it's not a bad time to go right around this 1.5 mark, and so we called the dentist. Macy called the dentist. She likes her dentist a lot. And she's just like, asked them like, "Hey, this is how old my daughter is. Should we take her in or should we wait till 2? And they're like, "No, bring her in." So we decided to bring her in. And then, they said that she doesn't have to come back until she's 2. And at 2, they might do a cleaning. It just depends on if how her teeth are doing at that point in time. They have to do some kind of weird stuff. So I just finally got this thing to pull up, by the way. Her height is 94th percentile, weight's 82nd percentile, and head circumference is 38th percentile. So that's where she's at for Avery. So that's pretty good. But yeah, so the dentist was a new experience, and I think, I don't think anyone's super thrilled to go to the dentist the first time, but she got a Moana toothbrush and I think is doing pretty. It's good that she went, I guess, is good. And then the only other thing is too, I do know we have noticed that she's starting to say a few more words again, which is good. We've been wanting that. She started calling Bingo Dingo today. That was fun. Pointing at Bingo everywhere and saying Dingo. Dingo. Like, that's how she says it. It's funny. And she definitely says no now, which is super fun. Like you were talking about with Bryce and Nope. So, like I said, when she's not being crazy, she's a lot of fun, but she's definitely in one of those moods. Like I said, it's a challenging week. It's been a tiring week. And probably a lot more so even for Macy, because she's been home with them. I'm at least at work, but it's not. I don't know that we've had an easy day in a while. So we're getting through it though, Brandon. We're getting through it.
Well, we're gonna speak positivity, and you guys got better luck coming with Peyton, and it's gonna start at soccer. Actually,
I'm hoping so.
That's like 3 days from now.
So, oh yeah, I know. And now I'm like nervous. The first time I wasn't that nervous. Now I'm like nervous. We're gonna go there and she's gonna be like a freaking terror, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, those people with that kid," which I know is not what people think, but you know what I mean.
I'm telling you, I did not even notice that she was screaming or anything like that.
Oh, she was screaming.
I didn't know you guys had left.
Yeah, she was screaming. So Brandon, you got a piece of baby gear this week to go over?
I do.
Let's hear it.
So. As we've mentioned before, Bye Bye Baby they're going on a business sale, and we made our way over to Bye Bye Baby earlier in the week, and there actually is still some stuff there. I kind of thought that there wouldn't be anything there, but we had to go to IKEA, and so literally it's like 3 feet away from the IKEA down by where we live at. So we stopped in there, and they had a bunch of pretty good stuff for 50% off. And one of the things we bought was Bryce is really into shooting hoops and slam dunk, and he's really into cars. And they had a combination from Little Tykes it's called it's Fisher Price, not Little Tykes. It's the Fisher Price BB Hoopster. So the name of it is BB Hoopster. Bryce's initials are BB. My initials are kind of BB. So it fit there, but it's a hoop that sits on a car, and the car moves. Like, you put batteries in it, and the car will move around. So super cool. Cool. The cheapest I've seen it on Amazon is $45, and I paid significantly less than that from Bye Bye Baby because it was 50% off. So it may just be worth it if you have a Bye Bye Baby within, I'd say, half an hour, 45 minutes, kind of like we do. It might be worth it to just stop in there and see what they have, because it was not as picked through as you might think. They still had a decent amount of strollers, car seats, a bunch of toys. Like the toy aisle, I honestly could have bought more toys, and I don't even like spending money on baby stuff anymore. So it was definitely worth a trip. So I would check that out.
That's good. Now I think probably after listening to this episode, Macy might convince us to go down there, which may not be the worst thing in the world, but I could see that happening in my future. Brandon, my piece of baby gear for this week is not really like a specific thing, but through all my research, because Macy and me have done a bunch of research now on tantrums and kids, one thing that we noticed that some people say, can relate to tantrums obviously is like diet, right? Or what kids are taking in. But one thing that can be recommended is a multivitamin, which we gave Peyton for a long, long time, but then we kind of stopped decently, like maybe a month or so ago. So we have started giving her a multivitamin again, but we did find another one, like Enfamil makes one, and then there was Prime Day recently, and they had like basically, which normally they're decently expensive, and you could get 3, like a 3-pack for like $18. So that was pretty nice. I don't know if it's still going on or not, that deal, but it's got like all the different vitamins in there and iron, and you can mix it with like juice or milk or water, or just take it straight, but the kids might not love the flavor of it. But essentially, the reason I'm saying this is if your kid is acting up a little bit, they do say that making sure that they have like a balanced diet, but also like certain nutrients in them. So like giving them a multivitamin can work. Macy originally bought fruit snack multivitamins, and Peyton will not even try it. She wouldn't even put it in her mouth. I don't know when that started too. She tried to trick her with other
Flintstone vitamins.
I don't know. She tried to trick her with other fruit snacks. She's had a fruit snack before, and like she put it in there. She wouldn't eat the other fruit snacks either. She wouldn't even try them. Like, I don't know. She's in this weird stage. Like, you can't tell this girl what to do. So So Macy bought these
You're gonna
ones
like
and it
this
didn't work.
later in life.
Later in life,
it's
probably.
Right now.
So yeah, we couldn't get her to take those. So then on Amazon Day, I got those. She hasn't tried them yet, but I mean, hopefully that's something that will help too with her mood. She eats pretty well. It's not like she eats bad. But we did stop giving her a multivitamin. So I'm not saying that that's the reason why, but it can't hurt to give your kid a multivitamin, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like we always did her whole life. And then I think we just ran out and never bought new ones because it was like, do we still need to? I don't know. And then she was fine. And then now she's not. So maybe there was something to it. I don't know. So that's my piece of baby gear is if your kid.
Sounds like there's some multivitamins coming.
Yeah. Look around it. And there's a bunch of them out there and they're all kind of rated the same too. So, the one she had before was like orange and she liked the taste of that one. So it was obnoxious though because it stained everything. But it was good. So that was my piece of baby gear. But Brandon, this week, let's get into the topic this week because it's going to be something that's important for both of us here soon, but for Bryce especially. But we're going to talk about kind of like milestones and different characteristics and learning attributes that we should be on the lookout for around the age of 2 and, slightly afterwards and whatnot. So kind of around the age of 2, what can you expect as a parent? Or what should you be excited for or maybe on the outlook for? So I'll let you kick it off first, Brandon, because I know you said you had a lot of notes and also because Bryce is very close to that age.
It's crazy to think about, but he is basically a month and a half away from turning 2 years old. So we're about to have an official toddler on our hands, which will be fun. But there's a few different things to pay attention to from a developmental standpoint. From a milestone standpoint, you're looking at feelings like talking, thinking, how they play, everyday skills. If we're starting off looking at talking or motor skills, around 2 years old, your toddler should be able to use sentences of 2 to 3 words, be saying things like I, you, and me. And then you should also hear a lot of repeating of what you're saying. They start to become like coordinated and develop their gross and fine motor skills. And you'll see that vocabulary expanding pretty significantly. So pay attention and watch out for those simple sentences. And when we say by 2, so some of these, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, every child develops at different stages. So if you talk to my mom, she might tell you I was talking by like 8 months. And that's the other hard part that I did want to mention. Like, I feel like as like parents and grandparents get older, the stories they tell about how great their baby was because no one was sleeping during this time, it becomes like more and more impressive. Like, my mom legitimately, I think, will say that like I was walking and talking by like 8 months.
Yeah, my sister was reading chapter books by like the age 2. You know,
it wasn't happening. I'm looking at these 2-year-olds and I feel like Bryce is progressing as he should at this point. But as always, be careful with comparing where you are. But that's one thing to watch out for to start are the motor skills and their speech.
Yeah, that's I read the same thing too. And some of these things that we're looking up, I'm sure we're looking up the same information, but like the CDC has information that I use to look it up. RaisingChildren.net is another place I looked at, and then UNICEF so those are some of the sources I use just in case people are wondering. But Brandon, you talked about language. They should, around 2, they should start to understand like characters or animals, or like when you point certain things out, like where's your milk, where's the baby's clothes, or where's this, and this is something that actually kind of cool because Peyton already does this. Like, if you ask her to grab something, she knows exactly what you're talking about, or she understands a lot. Her language skills aren't quite on par, but her comprehension skills are pretty good. So but they should start to understand, like you said, body parts, mouth, nose, ears, different like objects you use on a daily basis. Those are certain things that they want to use. Another thing is that as far as movement goes, you should see them fall a lot less, which is good as a parent because anyone knows that when kids kind of the first few months when they start walking and they will fall all the time. They'll run into stuff. They're clumsy as all get out. But around 2 and then, afterwards, they should start to fall a lot less and become more coordinated and more safe, quite frankly. And then also just coordination in general. They can start doing things, like with buttons and clips and ties and stuff, understanding how those work and using one hand instead of both hands for something. So those are all types of skills that they start to learn kind of around the age of 2.
Yeah, and I'm even starting to see that with Bryce now. Like with his motor skills, I've been letting him play around my iPad, and I have an Apple Pencil, and there's a program that he can use on there to just draw freely. And I've been working with him on how to hold the pencil just a better way. Actually, I call it the Jerry Olusky holding a fork method.
Oh gosh,
is the way I kind of have him holding his pencil, but it works. It works for his doodles a little bit better than it probably works for you when you're eating.
Nice.
But yeah, shots fired.
Yeah.
They also so we talked about things like soccer. They should be able to kick a ball at that point, climb stairs. Obviously, you want to kind of supervise that, but and holding a crayon with more control. And then one thing I was looking at were sometimes maybe what's the differences, because obviously we're talking about Bryce is a boy, Peyton's a girl. From a motor skill standpoint, around the age of 2, you may see boys display a slightly greater physical strength during this period. There are times when girls may be a little bit further ahead than them later on, but that's something that at the age of 2, boys may be a little bit more advanced. In addition to that, you're going to see kind of their independent self-expression. I know for us, that's one thing I didn't even mention in kind of my this week, but Bryce's ability to play independently has grown leaps and bounds, and I feel like it gets better and better every week. I honestly think sometimes we're just in the room for decoration. He'll be over playing by himself, and then he'll look up to make sure we're still there, and he'll just keep doing. And it at this stage is so cute because he's having conversations with his objects now, and you can tell from his inflection, you can kind of tell certain words that he's saying, and this is another part of the speech and understanding language that he can identify his individual toys. I bought him a stuffed monkey from IKEA and brought it back home, and he's been carrying that thing around. But as soon as he saw it, he's calling it monkey. But having full conversations with him. And you'll see from the independence and self-expression standpoint, they start to kind of strive for independence. They might become more assertive. We mentioned him saying no and nope, and Peyton doing the same. That comes from them wanting to express their wants and dislikes. And this does lead to tantrums. You're going to see that happening more and more. I think we had one guest call it terrible 2s and terrorist 3s. Yep. And this is the range when you start seeing that. So those are all things to pay attention to, but it's normal. They're developing autonomy, and it's common for both boys and girls.
Yeah, it's funny. That's actually the next point I was going to make is they call it terrible 2s for a reason. Kids tend to express themselves and find ways to express themselves. But like you said, they do become more independent. But along with being more independent, they understand playing with others too more at this age. They actually understand when they're around other kids. They get excited to be around other kids as opposed to when they're younger and they just kind of might be near them. They actually want to interact with the other kids when they're around them. So that's kind of fun too. They also can start to understand opposites. So the difference between big and small, day and night. They can understand certain things like that, good and bad. So that's kind of fun. And like you said, they can express themselves in a number of different ways. So just verbally, a couple word sentences. Also, they start to point to more and gesture towards more things to get what they want. And then, just kind of be more assertive with trying to get what they want to. One thing to watch out for is they can become better at getting in and out of places. So doorknobs and drawers and things like that. Especially if they have
grandparents that show them how to do it.
Yeah, so definitely that can be a thing. So Peyton tries to grab the doorknobs all the time and get out. She doesn't quite know how to turn it yet, but she's constantly trying to do so. So that's something to look out for too. You know, and then like you said, too, it can be it can be fun, but the kids are still trying to understand how to express frustration or anger and stuff. So a lot of times it can come out as a tantrum, or fits, and that can last for it's not like a month or so. This can pretty much all through 2, and a lot of people say 3 as well. You're gonna have some of those tantrums and some of those long bouts of crying. So you got to be ready for that. I think I'm already starting to see that. But along with it, there's a lot of good things, as you mentioned. Kicking and running, and understanding concepts to games, and helping out with like grabbing things or picking stuff up. All those kinds of things start to come around the age of 2. They almost start to become like little people as opposed to babies or infants, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense, and I feel like we both are watching that happen. And you mentioned the doorknobs. One thing, I'm not sure if I brought it up before. We have multiple. I installed like the doorknobs that you can lock from one end. So a lot of people use it for their bathroom. We have it for our bedroom, a couple other places in the house, because it's super easy for us to like stick a fingernail in and open it from the locked side. But Bryce absolutely will turn doorknobs, open them, and run right through them. Thanks to my dad. And then, but we also, for like our basement door, have it's a child-proof doorknob cover, and all it really does is like a plastic that has a soft portion on each side that you can squeeze as an adult. But from a kid perspective, if they twist the doorknob, it just keeps turning. So that's something that he has not been able to figure out yet.
Good.
Luckily. So we're happy there. Another thing, and I think ultimately this is going to be a topic that you and I cover completely in an episode at some point. But this around the time to start looking at if they're ready for potty training.
Yep.
And what that ultimately looks like. And there are a bunch of different methods that may go into that. Results may vary based on the kids. I know we have one buddy who took like 3 days off of work, and they basically like put towels all over their house, and kids will just run around willy nilly, butt naked for a period of time, and that's something that is becoming more and more popular actually. So I'm interested in going down the potty training route, because we may be there sooner rather than later.
That's a good point. And the last thing I'll say, Brandon, is and this is, I found this on unicef.org, but it says, because like you said, every kid develops at a different pace, and there's different things and different times, that they'll develop skills or attributes. But things to look out for, according to unicef.org, it basically meaning you should speak to your pediatrician if your 2-year-old's not doing these things. And that's this list right here. So if they don't know how to use common objects, if they don't use 2-word phrases or more, if they don't copy actions or repeat words, if they don't follow basic directions, if they can't walk steadily, or if they lose skills they once had, that's when you should talk to a pediatrician. Doesn't mean that they're going to be like, okay, something's wrong with your kid, but you should at least bring it up to your pediatrician, because there could be something that they want to look into, or see if there's anything you should change. So, and that's according to, like I said, unicef.org. So that's their list. I looked at some other lists, very similar type of things. If your kid's doing that type of stuff, they're probably on the right track. And if they're not, don't freak out. Talk to your pediatrician. Lots of kids develop at different stages. They will walk you through kind of what's best for your kid's development. So.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but every time we go to our pediatrician, pretty much since like the 3-month appointment, they hand us a form that kind of spells out, they're surveying you and asking you if you have any questions about some of these like specific things that Jerry just mentioned. The last thing I really want to go over are just from a parental standpoint. We talked about what to expect, but what are potentially some quick tips and how to help your child once they reach this age. So you can give them a chance to play with other kids their age. That's something. Socializing them is something that's very important. And I know as we're coming out of the COVID period, both Bryce and Peyton were both what we probably would call COVID babies, where we were limited to, we really couldn't have visitors in the hospital, things like that. But so a lot of kids their age were not socialized. Maybe kids who were born a little bit earlier in the year, and definitely around the time Bryce and Peyton were. So it is important to get them around kids their age, so they can kind of see other kids playing. And then the best teacher for a lot of kids is seeing another kid do it. So I know when Bryce is around some older cousins and they're doing certain things, he tends to pick up on stuff a little bit better as well. Spend time playing outdoors with them, encourage the everyday skills. So give them like kid-sized forks and spoons, things like that they can utilize, show them how to use it. From a discipline standpoint, one thing that is continuously recommended, and I still don't know if it's working for us because we try a multitude of different things, but ignoring unwanted behavior.
Yeah,
so,
we're trying that. It is not working, but I am trying to stay adamant with that.
Dude, it's
Macy keeps giving in a little bit, but I keep trying to like ignore it. I'm like, if you give in, because it makes sense in theory, right? If you give in, then they're gonna go, okay, if I do this, I'm gonna get this action, right? So, but that is hard.
They're just looking for the attention most of the time. I mean, from a Bryce perspective, one thing that we really did this with was him hitting, because he get frustrated and he either hit himself, he hit a couch, he'd hit his mom. For some reason, he really don't hit me like that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just scary, but that's what we're trying to do there, because that's something that we obviously you're around other kids, you don't want that happening. But those are all. I mean, we can go on and on. I still got a couple pages of notes, but I think that's a good place to kind of put a button on it and move on to your dad joke.
Oh yeah, we're ready for a dad joke. And again, as these weeks go on, we for sure are going to go over some things that we're noticing, and obviously we're always talking about development. But the ignoring one is hitting home right now, because with her tantrums, I'm hoping that works. I keep trying to tell Macy, which we don't always do. I mean, when you're in public, it's hard. You can't really ignore them in public, right? So that's our problem. Like if you're in public, you're going to try to get them to because it's embarrassing. But like, it's also like you don't want to ruin everyone else's time at the zoo or at soccer, right? So like you're trying to like calm your kid down. But at home, I'm like, if she's being crazy for no reason, like you almost got to ignore it to a degree, because otherwise she's just going to keep doing it if we keep giving in. So I don't know. I haven't had much success with that yet, but I'll keep you guys updated on how that's working out. But to this dad joke, Brandon, this is the one I stumbled across and I thought was funny. You ready?
Waiting with bated breath.
Brandon, who invented King Arthur's table?
King Arthur's table. I don't know who did. Merlin?
Circumference. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but I thought it was pretty clever.
It's pretty good.
I thought it was good. It was good. A little math joke, with round tables. So, anyways, that's my dad joke. But yeah, for everyone listening, if this is your first time listening to us, we appreciate you listening to us. Continue to go back through some episodes, see what you want to hear, you don't want to hear. And like us on all our social media pages. Send us a review. Send us topics you want to hear about. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Any good pieces of baby gear you guys want us to look into, we'd love to talk about it. So we're always looking to hear from each and every single one of you if you guys want to tell us anything at all. But until next time, I'm Jerry, joined here as always by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.